When you're going to visit Alcatraz, there's a few things to know. I'm just going to point them out and show you our experience. Starting off, there's a little waiting area, but then you eventually get on the boat and there's some food inside for you to grab some snacks. Unfortunately, the waves are a bit rocky, so it is kind of hard unless you're holding onto the rails to get around the boat. Your boy fell 3 times. Make sure you get to the top level so you can get some really pretty views, especially as you're pulling up to the island. That's exactly what you need. It's best to sit on the left side on the top level. That way when the boat backs in, you're like getting the best view. Unfortunately, there are a lot of flies, so make sure you bring a little fly swatter. That'll come in handy later and I'll show you why. But eventually you'll get off the boat and there's a really cool spot you can gather and also grab yourself a map and guide, which will come in handy. Just make sure you don't get the one that's French. It's a big touristy spot, so I made sure to grab the English version. We got lucky because there was a guest speaker, William Baker, who is actually an Alcatraz prisoner.
I'm 92 years old, so I might drop dead any second. So if you want to talk to me, you might ought to do it today.
He was signing some books in the gift shop. We'll talk about him later. Then we got a chance to go on a walking tour with one of the guides. He was showing us what the Alcatraz Island used to look like and what it used to be made for. There were lots of cannons. It was owned by the military. But he, like every other guide, could not ignore the craziness of all the flies that were there. I think it was the time that we went and visited. I'm just going to let the guide explain why they're all there.
Flies are called cormorant flies. A bird called the cormorant nests here. They make nests out of seaweed, and the flies nest in the seaweed as well. They're going to be here till about November. When the cormorants go away, there's no more nests.
So here's the original and last standing watchtower, which is pretty cool. And here we have a truck that was actually used for a movie, but then they cut out all the scenes of the truck. So now the truck is just there and they got to keep it. So that's kind of weird. Also, if you don't like seagulls, this might not be the place for you because they are literally everywhere. Here the guide was showing us the size of the cell keys. They're massive. The guide finishes his tour right next to where the audio tour kicks off, and then you get to walk through everything and explore the whole experience via this audio tape. So we picked up our tapes from the showers. We got to walk through all the different cells, and then we got to see the yard, all the famous inmates. Of course, the most notable name of all, Al Capone. These are all the cells that they stayed in. This is what the hole is. It was pitch black. They got closed off, typically during punishment. Then we also got to see the library. This is what a typical cell looks like. Some people took up different hobbies. This one was an artist. Pretty good paintings for somebody who's stuck here. This is also what the visiting window looks like. And here we actually have the cell that was broken out of. They used a mix of paper mache and clippings from haircuts that inmates had gotten to make fake heads. How crazy is that? Here's the hole that they dug. Watch Escape from Alcatraz, you'll know. Eventually the audio tour took us past that and into the dining hall. There are outlines of where the knives and stuff go, just to make sure that they didn't get lost. Here's a picture of the last prisoner that was exiting, and eventually we got to finish the tour and made our way into the gift store. It was very, very vast here. There's so much stuff that you can buy. Typical tourism place. And this was one of the most dystopian things that I've seen. This guy was on all knees. He was like interrogating him questions. It was crazy. Even though both tours ended, we got to still kind of